Chapter 5. I found an article online that was titled What You Really Need for Baby, and they had already earned my trust by dropping the or your. It said that you need a place for baby to sleep safely, a place to change diapers, and the supplies to do it, a way to carry baby, clothes, a swing, toys, and books. And even though I knew that each item was full of its own subcategories, I decided to trust its deceptive simplicity and showed the list to my mother. This empowered mom to show me her much longer list. In the end, we compromised by agreeing to let Aunt Angelina choose the store we are going to today. That's why we are here, standing outside a resale shop. My mother feels betrayed by her lifelong best friend. I thought you would at least pick one of the big cheesy department stores, she says to Angelina, who is aghast. Why would we put more money in the pocket of those corporate shields? This place looks fine. Mom, let's go in, I say. She sighs and moves her handbag to the other shoulder. So I turn and head to the door. Inside, a blue haired woman behind a glass counter shouts a bit too loudly. If you need anything, just ask. She's either crocheting or knitting, but she's too stooped over for me to see clearly. There's something witch like about her, the way she hunches over her textile crafting as if it were a cauldron. There's a row of changing tables on the left, and I had to my number 2 agenda item. Once there, I am unsure what I need in a changing table. Obviously, I don't need anything fancy, but what is fancy? I will need more than the pine wood one with the two shells. But what about the one that is also a playpen and a bassinet? Shouldn't a baby be playing and sleeping where its poop gets cleaned? My mother and Aunt Angelina are still talking near the entrance. Aunt Angelina points to a rack of clothing, and Mom remains stony faced as she walks over and begins to inspect the wares. This is Ralph Lauren, she exclaimed loudly enough for the old lady behind the counter to look over at her questioningly. Mom drapes whatever it is over her arm and begins to pursue happily. I am glad the store has met her standards. I return to the changing table conundrum. Those are really useful, Aunt Angelina says. Which one? To my surprise, she indicates the one with the bassinet next to the charger. The first 2 months, they spend so much time sleeping and pooing, and you spend all your days napping on the couch or watching TV next to one of those. She walks around it and looks at it like she's kicking tires at a car dealership. It has a pouch for wiping there, she points out. You and mom always, I start, then realize I shouldn't. Aunt Angelina's shoulders tense. Your mother and I what? She asks gently. You always made it sound so idyllic. Finny and I in a playpen together while you talked. That was later. I didn't have the house until you were almost 5 months old, and those first 3 months, your mother and I hardly saw each other. Really? But you still lived so close, and you weren't working, and neither of you were sleeping. She laughs. Even if I hadn't been a single mother, I still won't have had the energy to pack up Finny and his diaper bag and drive over. We talked on the phone, but we were both trying to survive. The early stages of motherhood can be very lonely. That's how Angie made it sound. I flipped the price tag over on the poop sleep play. The price does not seem resale. Angelina whistles. No matter what, having a baby is not cheap. Mom appears, carrying armfuls of clothes. Oh, this is perfect for downstairs, Autumn. She flips the price tag over and nods. And we will need another table for changes in your room, a crib, a dresser. She begins to wander among the furniture, talking to herself. I watch her, and a sinking feeling starts in my stomach. Feeling sick, kiddo? Aunt Angelina asks me. No, I say. I'm not going to school, so mom's not getting child support from dad anymore. And Angelina looks startled. You know that she isn't paying for any of this, don't you? What? I ask. Your mother told me that she was going to tell you, Angelina says. Her face is stony. She swore she had this whole speech planned about how some people aren't meant to be parents, but later in life they regret. Oh, right, I say, even though I was given no such speech. Still, I am going to owe you both so much, all the emotional support and knowledge. I am really out of my depth. I have spoken to my father on the phone twice since getting out of the hospital. The last phone call, he told me that he had been assigned a business trip in Japan that would last 6 months, but maybe more depending on the markets. I will probably be home just before or after you two make me a grandfather. If you are still determined to do that. There was a hopeful note that I had get an abortion or at least arrange an adoption. It's happening whether you are here or in Japan, I said. Well, I have talked to your mother and you are all sorted financially, so there's not much more to say. I figured that was his way of telling me that if I was so determined, he might as well pay for it. I suppose his symbolic monetary support should mean more, but it's the mother's support that's giving me the courage to do this, to find out what people mean when they say it is all going to be worth it. I am about to cry, and Angelina pulls me into a hug. Oh, yes, she says into my hair. Money can be paid back, but all this wisdom and love we are showering you with, you're going to be in debt to us forever. You are going to have to let us babysit this grandbabe 3 4 nights a week to make it up to us. I laugh and she releases me. My mother has returned with the saleswoman trailing behind her. Is everything okay? Mom asks. Hormones and daughtry gratitude got to Autumn. Aunt Angelina says, oh, Mom puts a hand on my back. Well, I have some good news. This place delivers. She says it like it is some sort of miracle. Luckily, the saleswomen either can't hear my mother's shock or she doesn't care. Mondays through Thursdays between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. She recites and adds, you will have to wait until after the weekend. What day is it? I ask. The saleswoman laughs reassuringly at me. The brain gets tired from pregnancy, dear, she says. Saturday, mom says. She knows that my lack of awareness has more to do with the monotony of my days than my pregnancy. But it's nice for us to pretend otherwise for a moment. So, with dad's money and the mother's wisdom and love, I begin to build my nest.